There's a special kind of frustration that comes from getting to the final rounds of a job interview process and not getting the offer because you feel like you have done everything right. You made it through the screening interview, the first interview, the second interview, maybe a panel interview, maybe a third, fourth, fifth interview. You invested hours of your time, you prepared, you showed up, and they kept bringing you back, so they were clearly interested. But then, for some reason, towards the end, something shifted. And then you get the email. We've decided to go in a different direction. So you're sitting there thinking, I made it to the final round. What did I miss? I'm Danielle Bradley. I'm a career coach for mid-career professionals. And today I want to talk about what happens when you get to final interview rounds and do not land the offer. And we'll talk about what to do differently to change that outcome. The reality is that if you are making it to the final rounds, you're doing a lot of things right. This is fixable. Now, here's why this hurts more than other types of rejections in the job search. When you're early on in a process, you haven't found out as much about the company, you're not as invested. But a final round rejection hits differently. By that point, you've had multiple conversations with a number of different people within the organization, and you can likely picture yourself in the role. And then it doesn't happen. And you likely don't find out why they didn't move forward with you. Most companies don't give you more information. They don't give you any feedback. And that's really difficult because then if you knew what went wrong, then you would know what to fix. But usually you don't get that type of information. So most of the time you're left guessing, and it's so easy to guess wrong. We might think it was our age, or maybe it was something else about our personality or our experience that they didn't like, or maybe they went with an internal candidate. Sometimes those things are true. But in my experience working with hundreds of mid-career professionals, most final round rejections come down to a few things that we can fix. Reason number one, you interviewed to get the job rather than interviewing as one of them, especially in the final rounds. Let me explain. When you really want a role and you get to the final rounds, there's a natural tendency to shift into a mode of we need to say all the right things and avoid saying the wrong things that might cost us the offer. But what that does is it can change your energy. So you might stop showing up as a strong, confident mid-career candidate. You might start to show up as someone trying to win their approval. And hiring managers and officials can feel that shift. The candidates who get the offer at the final round, they keep their energy consistent throughout the entire interview process. They may be curious, direct, and not afraid to ask some of the tough questions because they're evaluating the opportunity as much as the company is evaluating them. When you interview like you're already one of them, especially in the final stages, it makes all the difference. It's a different energy than hoping to get chosen. When you come at it from that standpoint, you're thinking of the problems that they're looking to solve with the role. And you position yourself as the solution and as the one who wants to be the problem solver. That can really help you to close the deal. Number two is your stories are not landing as well as they could. By the time you get to the final round, they're not evaluating whether or not you could do the job. They already know that you could. What they're trying to figure out is the fit. Are you the right person for the team? Are you the right person to solve the problems that they need solved with the role? That decision gets made largely by the stories that you tell and how you tell the stories. It's not enough to give the correct answer to technical questions. You want to describe what you did in a way that the listener, the interviewer, can feel it. They can fully understand what you did. Maybe it was part of a team, but understand the elements that you owned that allowed for a specific outcome to happen that was relevant for what they're looking for. Often, the behavioral questions in the final round are designed to understand how you think and how you show up when things get difficult. The candidates who win these rounds are ones that tell stories that are specific, personal, and with clear impact. If your stories sound like bullet points from your resume with a few other details thrown in, this is something that you might need to work on. Reason number three is they're not fully seeing the culture fit. As mentioned, in the final round, they've narrowed things down to candidates who they truly feel can do the job. But then the decision often comes down to who do they want to work with every day. What I've seen with my clients in the final rounds when it comes to culture fit, it's usually down to one of two things. Either the candidate hasn't done enough research about the company and their values to clearly position themselves as a fit with the company values, or they were so focused on answering everything correctly that they failed to truly show their personality. By the final round, they want to see who you truly are. They want to see the version of you who's going to show up in meetings and get results. If your final round felt like more of a performance, that can work against you. It should feel more like a conversation at that point. Reason number 4 is not closing in the interview. Most candidates will end their final round with, "I look forward to hearing from you." And they'll leave it at that, and that is a missed opportunity. By the time you're in the final round, you have earned the right to ask a more direct question. Before you leave that room, tell them that you want the role. Oftentimes, the role will go to the person who genuinely shows their excitement about the company, the position, and the team. Not in a desperate way, but in a clear, confident way. It could be something like this. "I want to be straightforward and tell you that after everything I've learned through this process, I am genuinely excited about this opportunity and I would love to be part of what you're building here. What are the next steps from your end?" That kind of close signals interest and confidence. And it makes you memorable in the conversation the hiring team has after you leave. Reason number 5 is your follow-up is non-existent or weak. A lot of people treat the thank you note after the final round as more of an afterthought. They might send a short generic message and then wait. But at the final round stage, that is not enough. Thank you notes can truly be your secret weapon. And it's not really the time to let them know about something you might have missed in the final rounds. It's a time to showcase that you have been listening to all they have shared about the company, about themselves even, about the role, and about what they're trying to do. What are the goals for the role? What does success really truly look like? And the more your thank you note can reinforce that you have been listening and that you're truly excited about the opportunities and about joining the team and contributing to the results that they're looking to achieve, the better. So make sure that you pay attention through every step of the interview process so you can send a thank you note at the end that genuinely reflects what you have learned and how you are eager and excited to contribute. A little while ago, I had a client who I started working with who had been on 50 job interviews before we met. That's 50. 50 job interviews, never got an offer. He was clearly missing what was going wrong. And in his case, it wasn't just one element. It was a number of different things that were blind spots for him that he was missing that prevented him from getting the offer. So we worked on his interview performance from the screening interviews all the way through to the final rounds. And he was able to land a VP role, a promoted role from what he had before based on what we uncovered and fixed. So if you have been to multiple final rounds and not landed the offer, here's what you need to do. Think back to your last final round. Were you showing up as one of them, someone who was evaluating the opportunity, or were you trying to win the room? Were your stories specific and personal? Did you close the interview directly? And what did your thank you note say? Those elements are where most of the final round rejections live. And it's completely fixable. Getting to the final round of an interview process and not landing the offer is one of the most frustrating job search experiences. But it's telling you something important. You're close. You have the right foundation. And the gap between the final round and the offer is smaller than most people think. If you would like some support with your interviews, I invite you to book a free career strategy call with us. The link is in the description below. And subscribe to my channel for more career advice specifically for mid-career professionals. And watch this video next. 5 signs your interview went well and how to recover from a bad interview. The link is in the description below. I'll see you in the next video.